do it. Hello and welcome to Feeling on Purpose, an interview series that will grow your mind. I'm your host, Stephanie Kathan, and it's my intention with this series to really share with you a practical path to a magical life and help you to tune into the power of feeling on purpose. And I'll tell you, when I was putting this guest list together for this series, it was really important for me to choose people who've touched my life in some way. And today's guest has done that on a deep level when she brought out my own essence and she captured it in her lens. And what she did was allow me to see my own beauty for the first time. And it was like a life-changing experience for me, and it's got me a little choked up because it was so powerful. So it is truly an honor to welcome Hollywood celebrity photographer Starla Fortunato today to Feeling on Purpose. Welcome, Starla.
Well, thank you so much. That's quite the introduction, Stephanie. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Truly, all true. So I really want to dive into this. Looking at your life now, working with some of Hollywood's hottest celebrities, doing what you love in an environment that is just amazing and beautiful. When you were younger, did you ever imagine that your life would look like it does today?
You know, I've always been a dreamer, and I've always been an artist, even when it wasn't an option. And I've always had little obsessions with beautiful pictures. My first obsession was with coloring books, you know, making pretty pictures way back then, you know, when I can first hold a crayon. And then I went on to take formal painting lessons, oil painting, and I was always an artist, but the sad truth was it didn't feel like an option early in my life. I felt like I didn't know what I wanted to do because I was an artist, and that wasn't an option for business in my family. My family was a business-oriented family. So I had to go on quite the path to really, you know, get hit on the top of the head saying, hey, you need to be doing photography for a living. It took literally a hit on the head before I got it.
So that sounds like an interesting story, and what I'm hearing there is that you kind of had to fight your way into doing what you love. It wasn't an accepted way of being.
Yeah, I was the first artist in the family who there are many artists in my family. There are really talented people, but they put their art on the back burner and went into, you know, corporate America, this feasible kind of, you know, where it looked like, you know, accounting or whatever they were doing, you know, real estate, computers. My father was a computer fiber optics designer in Silicon Valley. So I'm the first artist in the family, and usually that's kind of a traumatic experience when you tell your family, hey, you know what, I'm going to do photography. I'm going to be a photographer. I'm going back to school. I'm going to really understand this craft, and that's what I'm going to do. I mean, they were terrified for me. They were terrified. Like, oh, my God, you can't make a living doing that. I said, you know, I do believe I can. It's what I really love to do. I love making pictures. I'm obsessed with learning about light. I love light. I see it everywhere. And I am very sociable. I love people, and I think everyone has something beautiful about them. I've always thought that all my life. It's always made my heart sing to look at the better side of people. It's what I committed to do at a very young age, because I remember looking at, you know, gossiping. I mean, we're all human. We all gossip. We all tell, you know, we all do little things. But I really tried at an early time in my life. I wanted to see the best in people. And I realized it made me happy. It made my soul happy to always stay positive and try to stay out of the gossip loop if I could. You know, I was bullied as a kid, and I know what it felt to be on the other side of that negative feedback and bad comments and being picked on. So I decided that, you know, there's got to be something to learn here at a very young age, and I'm not going to participate in this. I'm not going to be a bully. I'm going to find the beauty in every person and find something to like about people. And that's the part of my...
Such a beautiful thing. That is such a rare quality to come across in a person. We're taught as a society to judge people and look for imperfections. And when you just telling that story gave me goosebumps all over, because you listened to that inner voice inside of you and you didn't care what anybody said. And I just think that is so beautiful.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's you know, and then as I've taken pictures all my life. I've documented my family, our family events. I photographed my friends. I've documented my whole entire life through, you know, I started with a 110 little camera when I was 9, and my babysitting money went to developing film, because film, you know, is expensive for a 10-year-old to develop, you know. So I've always been doing this. But when the big turning point for me was when I quit smoking in 1997. That's really when I decided to completely commit to being a full-time photographer, no matter what it took. That if I had to eat rice out of a jar for a week, it didn't really matter. I was just going to commit to this work and learn what I had to do and kick the doors down and get work, you know. And that meant making, you know, photos of people, because I've always wanted to photograph people, and showing your portfolio and looking for work, you know. So it's a very vulnerable thing. People will say, don't take it personally, but it's hard because you're a person and you're creating. So I try, when I speak to other photographers that are just getting started, I just try to tell them, you need to have a portfolio of the things that you want to photograph. If you want to photograph people, you need to have them in your book. If you want to photograph models, you need to start, you know, shooting models. If you want to shoot food, etc., whatever you want to shoot, whatever you really want to shoot, focus on that. Because if you're shooting something that you think you want to shoot for money, you're going to put that much effort into it. You're going to be losing all that time perfecting what you really should be doing. So I say just, because our job as artists too is to show people what we do. And that's why you have to have a portfolio, meaning a website, and not just a Facebook page. You really need to have a portfolio with your photos up, and it's a courageous thing to do. It's really scary for people that are just getting started, you know, photographers, no matter what age you are. But if you put your photos up, and your people are going to find you. And that's, you know,
there's something that you're saying in there that is touching me, and it is about sharing the photographs, taking the photographs of the things that you love. So if you really like photographing people, but you're photographing, say, food or still items or something, you're not really going with your gifts, right? Because you're not able to capture the essence. I think your gift, you're able to, you love it so much, the people that you're working with can't help but reflect that back to you for you to capture. It's so amazing the way that you're able to capture the essence of somebody. When I was working with you, you just brought out my very best. You were like a muse for my creative mind. You brought forth the best in me, and it was just me giving you a reflection of what you were beaming. And so I think what you're saying is really important there, to focus on what you want to do, what you love to shoot. That's really big.
I think so. I think it's really important. And once someone decides that they like my work and they feel like I'd be the right photographer to capture their brand, their essence, once they pick a date, I start and I research them. I researched you and, you know, Lisa Stedman, who connected us, and Sybil Henry, who styled you. We all came together and emailed back and forth about you, like, what are we getting? What do we feel Stephanie's about? And I got for me, I got sweetness, from you. I got a real kindness. I felt you were very gifted, very intuitive. So I felt like the space had to be cleared before you came in because you're so sensitive. And I started getting colors, and you came in and I was thinking purple with you and you ended up bringing in purple. I mean, and I thought those little birds, I started bringing little props in. Basically when I'm getting ready to have somebody come in, I get the ideas. They flow in. They come in through the back door. And I just try to go with those intuitions that I feel so I can capture, the essence of that person. And then I directed you. I told you need to breathe. Tip number 1, when whoever's taking your picture, make sure you're breathing. Because if you're breathing, you're present, you're in the moment, and your people that you're reaching out to through your photographs are going to find you.
This is beautiful. It's a beautiful lead into my next question, which was, what can you tell us about how feeling on purpose plays a part in what you do every day? And you just explained that beautifully. You prepave and you prepare. So even before, when the person is still an idea, you're feeling on purpose and you're prepaving and you're getting ready for the energy of that person. I love that. So is there something that you do every day that is a practice or something to keep you grounded and keep you centered that you'd be willing to share with us?
Sure. I have rituals that if I don't do them, my artist brain will probably turn on me. So I have to keep myself balanced. I do yoga. I journal in the morning. I wake up, I journal. If I have a resentment, I write it out, I clean it up, I give it up to my higher power, and I may end up telling another human being if I'm feeling a fear come up, because when you're a solopreneur out there, nothing is a constant. There's no steady stream. So it's, you're busy, and then there's a slow time, and then you're busy. So I journal, I do yoga, I walk, I try to get to the beach twice a week because I feel like the ocean clears me out. And I always do yoga after a shoot just to reground. Yoga's been a real big key. I meditate. I don't do it perfectly, but I do meditate 2 or 3 times a week. And I garden. I organic garden. I have a little organic garden in my backyard. I'm growing vegetables for my cooking and herbs. So I garden too. I get into the earth. And if I've done nothing right that day, I've watered my garden,
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing those. And I think it's really important, as you said, if you didn't do it, your creative mind would turn on you. And I think it's really important to get into a practice and create habits. When you first started out, did you always meditate or did you always do these practices? What was it that kind of got you into the practice of making them an everyday feeling on purpose thing?
Well, none of this came to me until I quit smoking and got clean and sober. So I'm clean and sober, and I work a 12-step program. And that is the foundation of my entire work. So I don't know what else to say about that. And that's been going on for 17 years. So I put clean food in my body now. I'm pretty healthy. I don't use any mind altering substances. A little bit of coffee, a little bit of chocolate from now, but I really have to keep my body, my mind clean, so I can get that connection to my source, so I can stay connected, and because the creativity really flows through me. Truthfully, I feel like I'm not even doing this work most of the time. As long as I'm prepping, as long as I'm taking care of the groundwork, the creativity comes through. A great book that really is fabulous is called The Artist Way. It's by Julia Cameron, and she has day-to-day things that you can do to take care of your artist inside of you, because we can learn the trade, we can learn a skill, but as artists, we also need to be able to take care of our artists. We need to know when to pull back, take care of ourselves. We need to know when to really push it forward. And we also need to know when we're in the presence of people who, they're called shadow artists, who are going to really not be a great force, and how to take care of ourselves in the face of that. So my ritual is writing, exercise, eating, and staying clean and sober. And I'm very happy to be that. I love that. And of course, I'm in a wonderful marriage with a man who I just love completely. So I mean, I have an amazing life, and it wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have been living on purpose. It wouldn't have happened if I wouldn't have, if I hadn't have taken care of myself, looked at my life, and got courageous and said, you know what, I got to clean some things up, including me, my backyard. And I retreat in my backyard regularly to look at myself. And I also have sponsees who come and work with me too. So that's a really important part of my life too, is service. So service is an incredible, giving something and not worrying about getting anything back. That right there is inspiration.
Truly, and that's a beautiful thing. So it sounds like once you decided you made the decision that you wanted your life to look this way, and that's when everything started to come together. The ideas started flowing. You made the decision to transform your life and be healthier and tune into well-being. And truly, you are living a magical life. I mean, it's truly amazing what you've created for yourself. It's beautiful. If there was one piece of advice about living your dreams that you could give to the listeners, what would that be?
Can you say that one more time, Stephanie?
If you were going to give one piece of advice about living your dreams, what would that be?
Advice. Oh, I'm always afraid to give advice. What I would say is, personally, what I did was I became true to myself I got really clear that there were things in my life I needed to change. And I came to the crossroads. I stood at the turning point, and I decided to take that right turn. And it was really scary, but it meant letting go of quite a few things and quite a few people. But I'm so grateful that I did it. And sometimes when we have to make these decisions that seem really scary, we have to be if it's really clear, it's the right one. I guess that's, listen to the intuition inside of you. We all have intuition. We're all intuitive beings. And when something is right, you get this, your body has a reaction. Listen for the ah. When you get a ah, that's your intuition saying, this is good, try this. If you get a if you're contemplating it, you're not feeling like it's the right thing, don't do it. But if you get that ah, go for it.
Oh, that's a great piece of advice, because it's tuning in. That's really what this series is, all these interviews, what life is truly about, that magical piece is feeling on purpose. And it's there. Like, the well-being is there to tune into. The emotions are there for you to tune into, and it's a matter of just deciding. And I'm so, so honored that you agreed to share the space with me and create these ripples of awareness, because I feel like this is a conversation that doesn't get talked about enough, and we're all really focused on doing and doing and doing and being successful and efforting, but not enough people are talking about what the work really is, which is feeling your way there. And so it's really fabulous to share this space with you and have this conversation. When you got your first big gig, your first top celebrity client, what was going through your mind when that happened?
I remember a chain of events happened. My mentor told me to go photograph an event he didn't want anything to do with. Maserati was opening up a dealership in Pasadena. And he goes, "Oh, Star, why don't you go photograph that? I don't want to do that. It's beyond me." I said, "Oh, it sure is beyond you, but I'll do it." So I went, I photographed the Maserati dealership opening and all the VIPs that were there. And one of the VIPs was a PR gal, and she worked for a magazine called Angelino, which is a really hit magazine here in Los Angeles. And she said, "Hey, can I use these photos for the magazine?" I said, "Yes." And then one of the higher-ups in Angelino found my name, and, "Hey, who is this? I like these photographs. I'd like you to do something else." And I was at the Four Seasons photographing their new chef, and I photographed a piece on the new chef. And the Four Seasons is where all the Academy Award out-of-towners come and stay during the award seasons, like Morgan Freeman, the people that I've worked with. And Morgan Freeman's PR gal happened to be staying at the Four Seasons when Angelino magazine came out with my photo, a full-page ad with the new chef and food. And she says to the PR gal at the Four Seasons, "Who did this photo? She shoots portraits and she shoots food?" And the PR gal said, "Yeah, we love her. We love Starla. She's working with us now. We hire her outside the magazine." And she goes, "I want her to photograph Morgan's cookbook. We've had a problem with the photographer, and, is she easy to work with?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, she's really easy to work with. She's great." So that's when my career had a big shift, was when I was hired in the middle of Morgan Freeman's Cooking for a Cause cookbook, and it was Morgan Freeman and his A-list friends who all participated in this cookbook. They had their recipes published in this cookbook along with their photos, and it was a tropical theme, and that took my career to the next level. And that's the miracle of doing the work, of just showing up and doing the work. And I had no idea that was going to happen, but all I know is that when I was shooting that chef, I was totally committed and doing the best I could. It didn't matter who he was. I was just going to make the best photo ever of him, and we had a great time, and I wanted to be easy to work with. That happened, and so it changed my career. Then after Morgan Freeman, I shot Ben Affleck, and then we shot Morgan Freeman with Tim Robbins, and there were several. Those are the biggest ones. Like Terrence Howard. We shot Terrence Howard after that for the cookbook. It was endless. And then all the celebrities that I photographed were comfortable with me. They say she's cool. Yeah, they talk. It's a very small circle. And if you don't behave yourself. And one thing I did do, and the advice I would say is when these celebrities show up to be photographed, they're a 20-story corporation. They are big business. They don't have a lot of time. They don't want to be your best friend. They want to make sure you know what you're doing and that you're going to get a great shot. And that's all they care about, because they're moving on to the next thing. You're just a very small part of their packed schedule and day. So I learned that very early on doing this cookbook that, Tom Hanks is not your daddy. Tom Hanks is not your best friend. You love him. Everybody loves him. But when he shows up, Morgan Freeman shows up, Ben Affleck shows up, you don't hang out like your best friends. You direct them and you speak with them like you speak with the rest of your subjects, but it's not time to, get too chatty and chummy, and a lot of people do, and I think that's why they don't have the staying power, is because they don't behave in a professional manner,
Well, your authenticity and grace is just so evident in everything you do, and your professionalism, because you don't need to fall all over people. You already see the best in people, and I think people that do that are the ones who are not used to seeing the best in people, so when they get around a celebrity or somebody who is successful, they don't quite know how to behave. But it's wonderful to hear this story because it shows how little hinges swing big doors, and your willingness to show up in life committed to doing what you love to do was those hinges. And I just think that is such a beautiful testament to the power of feeling on purpose and choosing to live a good life. You can choose it and you can do it after the choice. That's so amazing and lovely and wonderful. And I'm hoping that the ripples that we're creating tonight are hitting some people who may have felt like, well, who am I to go out and try to do this thing? Or who am I to try to be successful? Or what do I know about doing my craft or doing this thing that I'd love to do? And we're here to tell you that it's possible for anybody to do anything that you love to do, that you're passionate about, and that you feel on purpose about. It has been such an honor to share the space with you, Starla, and create these ripples with you and be part of this mind-growing conversation. Is there anything else you'd like to say? I can't believe it's gone by so fast already. Our time is almost up. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the audience before we sign off for this interview?
Oh, you're so sweet, Stephanie. I would just say that I didn't do it by myself. I've always had help. There's always been guides along the way. And I definitely had used intuitives along the way if I get stuck. So I didn't do it all by myself. I always come in with a team. And when people tell you that there is competition, that you shouldn't do it, plumbers have competition. Bus drivers have competition. Accountants have competition. Attorneys have competition. Sure, we all have competition. But it's not really about that at all because no two people can do the same work alike. So I would say you're unique, and I would say just do the work, commit to the work, hit the pavement, show people what you're doing. And if you're afraid, it just means it matters.
That is beautiful. Everybody, thank you for joining us for this Feeling on Purpose interview series. I'm your host, Stephanie Kathan. I've been joined today by Hollywood celebrity photographer Starla Fortunato, who I love so, so much. If you want to learn more about Starla, you can click the button to your left of this replay page that says Learn More About Starla, and that'll take you right to her webpage. It's been an honor to be here with you, Starla. I love you so very much. And everybody, until next time, keep shining. You are loved more than you know. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you, Stephanie.